we want a calming whole health approach. We want to be looking at everything. You can see here, when you've got a woman with endometriosis, and if she has been through so much and is in so much pain, it is amazing to be able to have this as lots of different options that we can look at. She is going to need to be looking at all of these, and we want to be addressing all of them. Now, one thing I think is really important to say is you may have a client who comes in who, when you start talking about this, it can be overwhelming. Okay, well, we need to change your diet, and we need to put supplements in, and we need to change your exercise, and you need to get rid of your husband and get rid of all your stress and change your job. And it can be super overwhelming. And what we are interested in when you're doing your case studies is we want to see that staged approach. We want to see that you understand your client where they are now, and that you're able to explain in a really held way that this is a process. Now, we have been doing this process for 15 years now, whatever, and we do all of this, but we didn't in the beginning. So it's good to know that you have this huge toolkit and that you can look at all of these, but judge your client. And I would say the first things that you want to be doing, and it's why we always talk about blood sugars first, you want to be looking at the food intolerances, and you want to be looking at the blood sugars. And then you want to be, this is why we do this staged approach. Start there, having that education, having that understanding. Okay, these are the things that I can offer. This is the pathway we're going to go on. We're going to start with what feels manageable, because if they're in a lot of pain and they've been through a lot of trauma with this, throwing loads of stuff at them cannot be the best solution. So that takes some practice, but really see if you can judge it and use us as your support. You've got, if you're a student with us, you are part of our network. Please use your tutors to be able to ask, well, where do I start here?
I like to call it the spectrum of health. Like, I think back to the 28-year-old junk food eating, very negative person that I was, and all of that went with it, perfume wearing, like everything that went with being who I was. And if someone had said, oh yeah, just by the way, by the time you're 46, you're going to be eating this and meditating and this, that, and the other, and all the things and all the stuff and this, that, and I would literally have gone, no, I'm out. Because I couldn't have done all of that. It's, what was the first step? The first step was thinking, maybe I could actually clean up my diet. The second step was like, okay, well, I've tried doing that myself. What does that actually mean? Okay, maybe giving up wheat, then, okay, well, now I've done all those things. Maybe I can start exercising, and now maybe I can start cleaning up my toiletries. And it's step by step. It has to be step by step.
Otherwise, they just go overwhelmed and won't come back.
Yeah. So avoiding toxins and xenoestrogens. This is a really big topic, but it's the plastics, not drinking out of plastic, not heating food up in plastic, doing organic where possible, avoiding dioxins and tampon products, and also avoiding the nasty chemicals in our toiletries.
I think this plays the role in the bacteria of the vagina as well. We need to be looking at all of these areas.
Yeah.
This is the stages of treatment, stages of wellness, should I say. We recently changed the name. We want to be starting with, if you go, all right, I've got all of these tools in my toolkit and I've got this woman with endometriosis, where do I start? The food intolerances and cleaning up the environment and removing those triggers, I think is the starting thing that you can work with. Then you want to be looking with the stress reduction, that is using your coaching tools. We're looking at macronutrient balance with PFC. We're looking at putting those micronutrients in, which we'll come on to in a minute. We want to be looking at the hormone balancing. So this is where, how do we raise up our progesterone? There are some adaptogens that we can use, for example, to be able to raise up our progesterone. How do we bring the estrogen down? How do we support the gut to be able to clear the estrogen down? And we've got different supplements that we can work with for that. So you're balancing the blood sugars with diet, and then you're supporting estrogen, progesterone with your herbs and with your minerals, vitamins and minerals, the zinc and the magnesium, selenium. These are really important nutrients to be able to support the hormone balance here. A digestive system. So having that conversation with your client and understanding, is there potentially a SIBO digestive picture going on here? And we want to be removing the food intolerances, we want to be putting the good stuff in, we want to be maybe balancing digestive function, that's with our digestive enzymes. We want to be, we've got some herbs that we can use to be able to readdress the bacterial balance. So look at your digestive module for the SIBO protocol that we work with, and take a woman through that. After you've dealt with the SIBO picture and you've been doing all of the hormone and you've been getting all the blood sugars balanced, then we're looking at the immune function. Is inflammation still high? Do we need to be working with some herbs to be able to support the liver, to be able to support repair, to be able to clean down any heavy metals that could be causing a problem, any mold, improving methylation? So check out your modules for the mold and methylation information. If you've done all of this, and I would say this is 6 months to 12 months that you're working with someone, and I am pretty confident that you are going to see improvement. But you may get to a stage where you're like, well, I've ticked every box, I've worked through everything, and there's still an area that I can't get underneath. Maybe the SIBO hasn't cleared up. Maybe they're menopausal and they need HRT. Maybe there's something like that. You can, if you're based in the UK, you can order lab tests and understand, do I need to do a digestive panel or maybe a hormone panel, and understand more of what's going on. And then you can refer on. So again, we go into this in more detail in the course about where you can refer on if you need to send them to a functional doctor, back to their GP, whatever, to be able to take them to the next step. But it can be really glorious to be able to explain to a client, this is what I offer, this is my toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get to a stage where I can't get underneath something, then I know where to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the food intolerance hierarchy is, again, we've got a whole talk on food intolerance, and I really recommend checking that out. So 75% of women with endometriosis who eliminate gluten and wheat from their diet will experience an improvement in their pain and abdominal symptoms. That's interesting, isn't it? I also have a lot of clients who really notice the difference when they give up milk and cheese. And as soon as they start putting that back in their diet because it was Christmas, they go, I can really feel my endo kicking off.
And that's the estrogen connection, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. So we work with a very staged approach, inflammation. And we start with these gateway allergens, the wheat and the milk. And for endo, we would often start by removing all the intolerances and working backwards, avoiding histamine foods. So we're going to talk to you about diet in a moment. And here's the thing, right? Like, we get some really challenging cases coming into our clinic, and you know, our health history forms are, you know, big, and they've got everything on them. And these days, I get some really, you know, I get my challenging cases, and the first thing I do is I go straight to their diet sheet and I go, yeah, I can help. They're eating foods that I absolutely know are part of the food intolerance hierarchy, and their diet hasn't got enough protein in it. And this is, it's like, I appreciate that could sound quite reductionist, and I don't mean it to, but I just keep coming back to, until we get these foundations absolutely solidly in place, we can't build on it. Can't build on it. So if there's inflammation in the body, we are putting something in that the body doesn't like. So that's either food, or it's not enough of something like protein, or there is a stress. So what is the stress? The body is responding from the perspective of inflammation. What is it? And it is preposterously common. I don't think I've ever had it. Have you? With a really, really the most challenging of cases. In fact, that's why we give you the cases that we give you in to do your case study reviews, because it is like almost the more challenging, the more fundamentally you can see the issues in the diet.
And I think what's exciting is if you can get the inflammation under control, if you could heal the gut, if there is gut inflammation in that leaky gut endotoxin picture, if you can get underneath that and the inflammation is dealt with, if you've got someone like a menopausal woman who is going, okay, well, I can't take HRT because I can't put estrogen into this situation. If you can get the inflammation under control, there is hope that she can put estrogen in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't go near estrogen, and now it's like couldn't get out of bed without estrogen. Absolutely, but it took a huge amount of gut work, a huge amount of gut work. So it's just, it's for me, it's too common that people will have seen big fancy nutritionists, they'll have seen some specialist, and yet no one's talking about their diet. And I'm sat there going, well, you're eating tomatoes every single day, or you're eating wheat 5 times a day. How can that not be a contributing factor? Just, in fact, just drop it for a month or two and let's see. Prove me wrong.
Mm. And this information, the looking at the food intolerances, we do that from the very beginning of our diploma training. It's in our Nutrition for Health course. It is absolutely at the core. And even when we get into the sexy hormone stuff and we're really into the juicy immune stuff, we still come back to what's going on with the food that's going in. Go back to basics.
Go back to basics.
So we also want to be looking at with something like endometriosis that is the phytoestrogens, estrogen in the system can be a problem. We want to look at supporting and eliminating that. So this is interesting from you may see this with clients who we're given the information that things like flax seeds are good for our health. And so there are many women who add flax seeds into their breakfast, or they're having the milled ones in their cereals or whatever, or they're taking it as a supplement. But actually, if you've got an estrogen dominance issue, flax is going to cause a problem. And so is soy, so is dried fruit. So the raisins have got to go. And seeds as well. So it's getting quite granular on someone's diet with information like this can really be very supportive when you've got a condition where estrogen is a problem.